Let me lay this out up front. I almost died chasing a ghost story. Redwood Orphanage, hidden deep in the Maine wilderness, is the last place on Earth anyone should step foot into. I'd heard the rumors. Kids vanished. Caretakers performed sick rituals. The walls still echo with screams. And like an idiot, I figured filming it all would juice my dying YouTube channel. Spoiler alert. I got way more than I bargained for. I arrived near midnight, my car headlights slicing through the dense pines. A rusted gate blocked the driveway. Beyond it loomed the old Victorian building, windows boarded like sockets on a skull. Something about this place felt instantly wrong. The air clung to my skin, thick and hostile. The trees almost seemed to whisper, "Go back." But I was desperate for views, for a last shot at internet fame. As I crept toward the entrance, gravel crunched under my boots, echoing like gunshots. I aimed my flashlight at the doorway. The boards were splintered, the door half gaping, as if Redwood itself was inviting me inside. My heart hammered, but I kept rolling. I had no idea that I was about to uncover the sickest secrets imaginable, and that not everyone who vanished from Redwood was gone. And once I crossed that threshold, a cold gust rushed out to meet me. Foul, stale air that smelled of mildew and something acidic. My flashlight revealed peeling wallpaper, broken glass scattered across the floor, and a foyer that seemed both spacious and suffocating at the same time. Before I could even gather my thoughts, a sudden bang erupted behind me. I spun around to see that the front door, previously stuck open, had slammed shut, rattling the walls. A tremor of fear shot through me. I tried the handle. It was jammed. I pulled harder, panic flaring, but the door refused to budge more than an inch. Heart pounding. I told myself the wind must have caught it. Maybe the hinges shifted. Don't panic. But a creeping thought gnawed at my mind. Redwood had sealed me in. Even so, part of me believed I'd find another exit deeper inside, maybe a side door. Besides, I was here now. Might as well document it. Camera rolling, I pressed forward. Almost immediately, the corridor to my right seemed to stretch unnaturally, like an optical illusion. My flashlight beam didn't reach the far wall. With each step, the hall elongated. Or perhaps my mind was playing tricks. I told myself to breathe and move quickly. My phone signal had dropped entirely. Not even a flicker of Wi-Fi. Typical for abandoned buildings, sure. Yet it felt too convenient. As though Redwood was cutting me off from the outside world. A sudden thump jolted me out of my thoughts. It echoed from the second floor, the sharp impact of something heavy landing on creaking boards. My gut reaction was to retreat, but the locked front door behind me made that idea pointless. I glanced around for a side exit or window I could break, only to find them all boarded up or blocked by debris. Unease coiled in my stomach as I climbed the grand staircase, each step creaking so loudly that I could barely hear myself think. Halfway up, the overhead light, somehow still functional, flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls. At the top, I saw a long hallway, lined with doors bearing faded nameplates. Tommy, Lucy, David. My chest tightened at the thought of children living here. Their presence felt as tangible as my own breath. I moved slowly, the corridor's claustrophobic darkness pressing in. Suddenly, a door at the far end slammed shut on its own, resonating like a gunshot. My flashlight quivered in my grip. Some primal instinct told me Redwood was herding me toward that door. But I had nowhere else to go. The hallway behind me felt narrower, as if it might collapse if I turned back. As I edged closer, I smelled something metallic and foul. I aimed my camera at the floor, revealing a wide, rust-colored stain. Could have been old paint, but the stench told a different story. Blood. My pulse hammered. Whatever happened here decades ago was far more violent than any rumor I'd read. I pushed open the door that had slammed moments before. It led into a sprawling dormitory, rows of tiny beds upended or rotted through. Tattered blankets were strewn across the floor. My flashlight caught movement, just a fleeting shadow darting across the far wall. An animal? A trick of the light? Then I heard it. Soft, sorrowful whispering. It sounded like multiple children. Words tangled and distant, as if coming from inside the walls. The voices overlapped, half sobbing, half pleading. A chill rippled through me. A wave of anxiety hit, and I whipped around, shining my light in every corner. The door behind me started to creak shut again. I lunged to keep it open, but it yanked from my hand and slammed with a force that made the windows rattle. I wrestled with the handle. It wouldn't budge. Trapped. Redwood was sealing every path behind me, funneling me deeper into its bowels. Panic rose in my throat, but I refused to let it control me. If Redwood was going to play games, I'd have to push forward until I found some way out. Forced to explore the dormitory, I navigated around overturned furniture. The old wooden floor groaned with each step. At the back, a smaller door led into a hallway I hadn't seen before. Another coincidental passage. I couldn't resist a grim smirk. Was Redwood showing me the next step? The hallway opened onto what must have been the administrative wing. On the left, a door bore a tarnished plaque. Headmistress Garrett. My heart thudded. In the local legends, she was portrayed as a fanatically strict woman who used unholy methods to discipline the kids. I braced myself and turned the knob. It opened freely, as though inviting me in. Her office was cramped, papers and binders decaying on a massive desk. An ancient lamp flickered weakly, providing a sickly amber glow. My flashlight caught a framed black and white photo on the floor. It showed a row of children with hollow eyes and fearful expressions, standing alongside a tall, austere woman. Headmistress Garrett herself. The corners of the photo were burnt, as though someone tried to destroy it. My gaze fell on a dusty journal lying open. I skimmed it. Ritual attempts. 3 successes. 2. Lost. Children's fear amplifies the gateway. Must keep them contained. Revulsion twisted my stomach. This was no normal abuse case. These were occult experiments, maybe even sacrifices. Redwood's dark history wasn't just rumor or hype. A sudden scraping noise snapped me to attention. I whirled around to see a caretaker's figure in the corner. Tall, limbs unnaturally elongated, face half rotten. It wore a staff uniform stained black at the sleeves. Before I could react, the figure vanished, flickering out of existence like a dying light bulb. A cold wave of dread swept over me. Redwood was letting me know that someone was still there, watching, guiding me from room to room. I bolted for the door, half expecting it to be locked, but it wasn't. As soon as I stepped back into the hallway, though, the lights overhead popped and went dark. Shadows stretched over the walls, and in that gloom, I heard a gravelly whisper.
You won't leave.
Stumbling through the darkness, I found a narrow staircase heading downward. Fear churned in my gut, but Redwood clearly wanted me to descend. The path upstairs was blocked. The dormitory door had fused shut. So, with adrenaline raging, I stepped down into the basement. Each step sank me deeper into a frigid, oppressive atmosphere. Damp cement walls, dripping pipes overhead. My flashlight beam flickered across a labyrinth of corridors. Left, right, dead ends. A pungent odor, like rotting meat, stung my nostrils. My breath came quick and shallow. A faint glow drew my attention to the far end of one corridor. There, a half-open door revealed a room lit by flickering candles. I swallowed hard and entered. The space was larger than expected, dominated by a stone table with dark stains and rusted restraints at each corner. Weird symbols scrawled the walls, twisted crosses, strange runes, childlike drawings of horned figures. The entire place exuded unimaginable torment. Then I noticed something that froze my blood. Children's shoes, lined up neatly by size against the wall. My stomach knotted. These kids had been led down here, never to return. Suddenly, the candles sputtered, as if an invisible hand had passed by. I sensed movement near the stone table. Something flickered across my vision. Shapes, ephemeral silhouettes of children, arms outstretched in silent despair. Their mouths moved, but only faint moans escaped, like gusts of dead air. They were trapped, as if Redwood itself had consumed their souls. A wave of pity and horror crashed over me. I whispered, "I'm sorry," unsure who I was talking to, the children or my camera. Their expressions seemed to plead with me. Help us. But how could I free them if I couldn't even free myself? Then, from the shadows, a new figure materialized. Tall, gaunt, with scraps of an old caretaker's uniform clinging to a half-decayed frame. Its eyes glowed with a sickly red light, and a malignant grin spread across its drooping features. In a voice that crackled like dry leaves, it said,
They belong to Redwood, and so do you.
My hands shook, but I gripped the camera tighter. The caretaker lunged with impossible speed. I dove aside, heart thundering, my shoulder slamming into the wall. Pain jolted through me, but I forced myself upright. The spectral children watched in silent anguish, as though powerless. The caretaker advanced again. Bony fingers curled like claws. Behind it, the basement corridor seemed to shift. An exit I hadn't noticed flickered in and out of the gloom. Gritting my teeth, I rushed toward that ephemeral doorway. The caretaker's shriek, a mix of rage and hunger, reverberated off the walls. As I barreled through the threshold, the corridor beyond blinked like a glitching video feed, then solidified. I realized Redwood was trying to seal every path, but for a moment, I'd caught it off guard. I sprinted through a winding tunnel, slipping on the damp concrete. Cracked overhead lights sputtered to life in random intervals, revealing pipes that rattled as though something massive skittered inside them. The caretaker's screams echoed behind me, accompanied by the frantic patter of footfalls. Impossible to tell if it was one entity or many. My only thought, find a way out.
Now.
A door at the end of the hallway stood slightly ajar, letting in a faint trickle of moonlight. My heart soared. I shoved it open, emerging into Redwood's back courtyard, a tangled mess of weeds and rusted playground equipment. Cold night air hit me like a cleansing wave, but Redwood refused to relent. The caretaker figure and several others, half gliding, half stumbling, poured out of the doorway behind me. One caretaker's face was peeled back, revealing a jaw of needle-like teeth. Another had milky eyes that stared without blinking. They rushed forward. I scrambled through broken playground fencing, ignoring the sting of thorns that ripped at my clothes. My flashlight died with a final sputter, forcing me to rely on the faint glow of distant streetlights. Only when I climbed over a twisted section of chain-link fence did I see my car, parked where I left it. Relief flooded my veins. I lunged for the driver's door, jumped in, and locked it. Gnarled hands slapped the windshield, leaving smeary, inhuman prints. With trembling fingers, I jammed my keys into the ignition. The engine roared to life, and I stomped on the gas. In the rearview mirror, Redwood's silhouette loomed against the sky, its windows glowing with that ominous red hue. I could swear I saw dozens of small faces peering out, childlike shapes, lost to Redwood's hunger. Now I'm holed up in a cheap motel far from Redwood. My camera is packed with footage that no sane person would want to watch late at night. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in those corridors that rearranged themselves like living veins, forcing me deeper into Redwood's clutches. I still hear children's cries in the silence, echoing in my head. I don't know what to do with the evidence I've gathered. Part of me wants to expose Redwood, to warn people away from its cursed halls. But another part of me thinks that doing so might spread its evil further, like a seed, looking for fresh soil to corrupt. No matter what I decide, Redwood Orphanage has left its mark on me. Sometimes I wake in the middle of the night, convinced I see a caretaker's twisted shadow in the corner of my room, or I hear a distant door slam, reminding me that once Redwood gets hold of your spirit, it never truly lets go. I escaped physically, but something in that place latched onto my soul.